All right. So, episode 6. 2 more episodes to go. So, I was partially right. Tyson does save them with a bit of an assist from Annabeth. She did at least shank him with the dagger. Unfortunately, it was basically like a mosquito bite. And because she was doing that, she wasn't able to get out of the way to before Polyphemus took care of Annabeth. Which I guess makes sense because this forced them to give up the golden fleece to Luke. Now Clarice is pissed off with Percy for doing that because now Luke has both Annabeth and the fleece. What she forgets is that once Annabeth is up and about, she's going to still be with Luke and the golden fleece. Now, granted, she doesn't have her hat of invisibility, but still. So, Tyson basically bookended this episode. We see him, I assume he's meeting his father, and he's given that bracelet back. Now, he knows, I guess Poseidon taught him, or somebody taught him how to use the bracelet to control the animals, which Luke told Annabeth it was just to hide you from monsters. So they probably didn't realize what else you could do with it. Which is probably why Poseidon or somebody, under the direction of Poseidon, kept trying to give either Annabeth or Tyson that damn bracelet back. Because they wanted them to control the monsters. So, Tyson can now control monsters. And he took care of Polyphemus, which, I'm sorry, watching him wrestle Polyphemus, this was like a David and Goliath sort of deal, where he just took him out. And of course it made sense that he would throw him over the cliff, because Polyphemus probably won't survive. Tyson will, because Tyson is the son of Poseidon. Even though Polyphemus was trying to talk to him, he's just a regular old Cyclops like him, not understanding that he's a demigod as well, simply because his father is Poseidon. I mean, the fact that Tyson is a lot smaller than Polyphemus should have been a clue. I mean, granted, he's still young, but I can only imagine that a full-blooded Cyclops would still be bigger than Tyson at that age, if they're going to end up as big as Polyphemus. I would think that they would. So now they have a way off the island. We found out that Clarice is fairly strong because she was able to catch Percy falling, and until she dropped him because, ew. So, but them pretending to be sheep was hilarious. Now, not sure why they felt the need to do that, because I'm sure he can sense the difference between humans vocalizing sheep sounds and actual sheep, but, And Luke was talking about trying to warn Annabeth because of how cunning Polyphemus is. I'm sorry, have you met Tyson? And yes, I know he has. because this is a man who created a bomb so they could all escape. So Tyson's not exactly slacking off in the cunning department. He's a very smart guy. And he's so sweet. And he felt bad that he didn't go after Luke and Annabeth because he wanted to save his brother. Which I thought was so sweet. And how he told Polyphemus, "You're not my brother. He's my brother." And, of course, Polyphemus, being the out-and-out dullard that he is, wasn't catching on to the fact that they're related by blood. It's not just that they happen, that he and Tyson happen to look like the same species. He is also the son of Poseidon. So he looked upset when he said that Polyphemus won't bother us anymore, implying that he killed him, which he didn't seem thrilled because, well, he's not Clarice. Clarice probably wouldn't have batted an eye. Whether deep down it wouldn't mess her up is a different story, but she wouldn't have batted an eye. Now, I'm glad that Clarice was stuck there in the pit besides with Grover, because there is no way Ares would have thought to buck Grover in such a way that he would break the mirrors so she could grab a shard of glass to set them free. Because at first Grover's like, "What the heck?" And, I'm unsure whether I like that we are now seeing Grover without the tiara and without the wedding dress. I mean, it just worked so well with him. I liked his dress. So it's going to take a bit to get used to him not being in a dress. Let's see, what else did I want to say? Now, Luke obviously cares a lot about Annabeth. And that is something that those three do not quite grasp. I think Grover probably does a bit because he knew them when Annabeth was little. So it's entirely possible. I like how Annabeth pointed out to Luke before Percy told him go away. I like how she pointed out that, yes, Talia hated Zeus, but that doesn't mean that she would join Kronos. But we see Talia. It turns out it was Talia. At first I thought it was Kronos again, with a bunch of dead kids, and that tells you the budget for the show because these kids look like obvious mannequins. But bunch of dead kids. And it doesn't seem like a good look for Talia, but Luke has a bunch, and Kronos, by extension, has a bunch of kids that are helping him. So maybe Luke's little army gets taken down by Talia somehow. Which, she's a tree right now and dying at the moment. Oh, excuse me. So, I'm not sure. It doesn't sound like it was supposed to be of the past. So, I don't. And Annabeth didn't imply that she knew what scene Percy was seeing. So who knows what happens. Maybe it's someone else, but is given Talia's form. I mean, this is Greek mythology, so anything's possible. Um, let's see what else did I want to mention about this episode. Um, I really wonder. Now, Clarice is trying so hard to claim that they are not friends. I wonder if she's going to still think that by the end of this. Because Percy and Grover are making it really, really hard for her to dislike them, especially Grover. So, but Pan was mentioned again. So, and for some reason, Pan came to the island and left the golden fleece there. Now, Grover asked the question we're all thinking. Why would he do that? Why would he keep it with Polyphemus? Maybe because he, even though he captures humans and demigods for food, or to capture their voices, which is just bizarre. Which, by the way, how does that work? Because Tyson seems pained whenever someone asks him to say what he's listening to, and he takes on that person's voice. So I'm very confused as to the significance of that. But there's got to be some sort of significance, and there's got to be something that Tyson is going to use someone's voice to make them think something that isn't true or something. That Tyson's going to use that ability not just for eavesdropping, but for a higher purpose. Because they wouldn't be constantly showing that that's an ability of Cyclops without it ending up being a big deal. So we find out, though, that Tyson is really, really strong despite his, well, in Cyclops terms, diminutive size. Amongst regular old humans and demigods, still a giant, but among Cyclops, no. So yeah, Clarice's concern about Luke giving the golden fleece to Kronos and I guess using it to bring him back is probably not going to work because, well, first off, he has to save Annabeth. And Annabeth isn't going to just, twiddle her thumbs. And even though she doesn't have her hat of invisibility, she's still a fierce warrior. She's still the daughter of Athena. And I can't remember who that other chick is supposed to be the daughter of. But I get the feeling Athena trumps her. So, but she's like, what is it about Annabeth Chase? And I'm just wanting to scream. You do realize Luke knew her when she was really little, right? They've, been together for a few years. He was taking care of her as a child. Granted, technically she's still a child, but still. So, of course he's going to care about her. He's not going to just stop caring about her because he's on the side of Kronos. He still remembers her as a little girl who he was helping. And Annabeth is his only tie to Talia. Now, whether there was anything more than just a brother-sister type relationship or just a good friendship, regardless of what their relationship was, the only person who really knew Talia the way Luke did was Annabeth. So it makes sense that he gives a crap about her. But he was also using it to gather intel, create a portal, and, he came up with some excuse that only one person can go through, and that's him. Which makes me wonder how they got on that ship that quickly, because, him and Annabeth are two people. Unless, because he's carrying Annabeth, it doesn't count. So I don't know if that's true or if that's some bullshit he claims, so he didn't have to actually save those three. Let's see what else. I think I've covered everything I wanted to this episode. I'm kind of bummed that we won't see Polyphemus, because I did like him as a character, even though, bad guy. But I did like him as a character, so that sucks that we won't see him anymore, but there's only 2 episodes left. They have to get the Golden Fleece back, and of course Annabeth, and then they have to go back to Camp Half-Blood and save the Thalia tree, because that's the only thing that's keeping monsters out of Camp Half-Blood. And who knows, maybe Annabeth will sock it to Percy and say, what the fuck are you doing? Clarice is right. The mission is much more important than my life. But unfortunately, she had 2 guys who didn't want to see her dead. Grover was probably the 3rd, but it wasn't as insistent as Percy and Luke. Let's see. So, yeah, I have no idea how this is going to end. Obviously, they're going to, save Annabeth, get the Golden Fleece, and save the camp. How that's going to happen, will we see Chiron again? I hope we do, because that means Tantalus can go to hell. Quite literally, because that's where he was, the underworld. So, which of course will mean that his decision that Annabeth and Percy and Tyson can no longer go back because they broke the rules, well, that'll be moot. So yeah, just 2 more episodes to go, and I'm very, very curious how it goes. So, that is all I have for this video. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one.